All right, what is going on, guys? Caleb here, and back with another video. And today's gonna be a lot different than most of the videos I've been posting the past 3, 4, 5 weeks. This video is actually a topic that's dear to my heart and something I want to really talk more openly about, hoping that I can create a space and help other people that go through a similar thing. And I actually struggled with this most of my life, and that is social anxiety. And growing up as a kid, I was super extroverted. I actually wanted to talk to as many people as possible, and I was quite the person, quite the kid growing up in elementary school and even early years of middle school. And then somewhere in late middle school, going into high school, is when I started to feel a lot of anxiety. And this happened in multiple ways, but the main way that I remember how I developed social anxiety was when I was in class. When I was in class, I was super shy. I was very scared to do any sort of group speech. Every time, I swear to you not, every time we had a group speech and a teacher would make us present in front of the class, I would do anything to not go to class that day. Like, I would stay in the bathroom stalls if I had to. I would run out of the school if I had to, or I would just never go to school if I had to. And so it happened for all of middle school, all of high school. I was very anxious in class, and I never understood why I felt the way I did. You know, I remember talking to my parents about it. I remember talking to my older brother about it, and I remember just being lost. I didn't have any friends that I wanted to open up about this with, and so basically I was stuck with my own problems as a kid. And just talking about that now is super hard, because I realized that most of my life when I was going through social anxiety, I had no sort of support system at all. And partially that was because I was too anxious to talk about it. But even in that situation, you know, I would hope that schools and parents, friends would have a better support system when it comes to this topic of social anxiety. And I think that a lot of people go through it. And if you were to ask any of my friends or family members or even brothers, you know, they would have said, you know, they had no clue. They had no clue that I was going through anxiety when it came to social settings. And so I worked on this for quite some time. I, you know, kind of went on with my life. I, you know, got a lot of jobs that were catered around not socializing with people. I made sure that I wasn't around people. I made sure that I was doing things that would avoid having to talk to people. And for that reason, I got into like a very low period of my life. And this period of my life was right outside of high school. When I was going to college, I was just very lost, and I was addicted to a lot of bad habits. I was smoking all the time. I was going to jail. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I was doing anything that I could do to escape my current situation. And it wasn't until I started to learn more about personal development. There was a time right after high school, I was going to community college near my house, and I wasn't even sure why I was going to community college. It was just something that my parents told me that they wanted me to do, and I wanted to respect them as a son and go to school. And I soon started to realize that even in college, I was like, shit, like, I'm this socially anxious kid. I'm not able to make friends. I was super scared, and it was just this whole cycle over again. And I knew that I didn't want to live my life that way anymore. I remember telling myself after high school that if I were to go to college, I would be a new person in school. You know, I would be this person that, since I'm not in the same school that I was kind of trapped in, I would be the social, extroverted person when I went to college. And that just was not the case at all. I, you know, fell back into my old habits. I was super anxious around people. I was even more anxious now that we were in college. And I just didn't know how to deal with it. And so soon enough, I made a decision that I was gonna not live my whole life having to be socially anxious. I didn't want to look back when I was 50, when I was 60, and still be socially anxious. And so I knew that I had to find a solution. And so that's what led me down personal development and actually starting to learn about how do I deal with anxiety? How do I build confidence? how do I start to move into this character that I've always wanted to be? So I got into the work of Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Gary Warmadam. I met a lot of great mentors that I still listen to this day. And the biggest takeaway for me going through all of these books and reading and listening to so many podcasts and videos about just growing as a person, the number one thing they taught me was that I was able to make a change in my life. That if I wanted to not be socially anxious anymore, it was up to me and not the anxiety. And that was kind of an enlightening moment for me, because my whole life I thought I was going to be a victim. My whole life I thought that there was no way that I was going to be able to be confident in social settings. And so when I started to listen to mentors and get new information in my brain, I was then able to have this faith. And even though it wasn't a lot at first, right? It definitely wasn't a lot. It started out very small, but I had even just a little bit of faith that if I kept going, that if I kept working on myself, that if I kept showing up every single day, that eventually I would be able to be socially confident. And so that's what I did. I started to slowly get myself into more uncomfortable situations. I remember going to Toastmasters and talking to people that were 40, 50, 60, that had the same feeling. They were too scared. They were terrified of public speaking. I remember being 20, going to these events and just getting myself in uncomfortable situations. I remember going up and approaching strangers at a very young age, putting myself in more situations where I felt super uncomfortable. And so that's what I did. I did that for about a year or two, and I started to slowly feel more comfortable, but there was still something that was wrong. I still felt that underlying anxiety, and I wanted to find, I guess you could say, a permanent solution. I wanted to find something that wasn't to kind of just put myself out there and force myself to do things that were uncomfortable. Even though that helped me tremendously, I knew that I wanted to address the root problem. I wanted to actually address why I was feeling anxious. Even if it was a little bit, I wanted to actually find the cause of my problems. And so this is what I wanted to share with you guys today, and hopefully help more of you guys that go through social anxiety. I want you guys to actually find the cause, because at the end of the day, we can take medication, we can go out and do a lot of challenges, and we can force ourselves to go out there. But if we don't actually take the time to sit down and find out why we're feeling the way that we're feeling and actually get to the root of the problem, right? Get to the cause and not the effect, then that's where I truly believe the change is. And that's how it was for me. I can confidently say that I'm aware of why I feel anxious. Not trying to do everything I can to, alleviate the anxiety, but understanding why I even feel anxious. And if you guys can understand this work and start to do this for yourself, that would mean a lot for me. And so this work basically consists of actually going in and finding out, doing introspective work to find out why you're anxious. And it might start off by just journaling about why you feel anxious. What are the things in social settings that make you feel anxious? And what I did was, for 2 to 3 years, I used to just journal. And what I did was, I didn't just do some regular journaling. What I did was third-person journaling, and I would write down all the thoughts that I had going through my head, especially when I was in social settings. And what that allowed me to do was, I started to then put what was up here and put it on paper to then slowly start to question the thoughts I was having and look at the underlying beliefs that I had when I was in these social settings. And what I soon started to realize, I started to find a trend as I wrote more things that were very similar. And I found out that, number one, I was very insecure with the way I looked. I was very super, as an Asian guy, I was super insecure with the way that I looked. And that's why I felt anxious around people. That's why, whenever we went to a social setting, I was very, aware of who was looking at me, because I wasn't comfortable with the way I looked. And then number two was the way that I talked. I was very insecure with the way I talked. I used to have a stutter. I used to talk in a very high-pitched tone, and I didn't think it was attractive, and I used to judge myself for that. And so that was the second thing I started to find out. As I was having these thoughts, it was very judgmental about the way that I looked, about the way that I sounded, the way that I acted. And so soon enough, I started to become aware and mindful. And meditation has helped me a lot, right? When I say that we're gonna go to the root of the problem, that involves us sitting down, being quiet, and being able to meditate on things that are happening to us internally. Because a lot of social anxiety has more to do with internal, right? With what goes up here, with what's happening here in terms of your feelings, your emotions, than it does in actual, social settings that are making you anxious, right? There's nothing that can make us anxious. And this is what I started to realize, is that when I did more internal work, I realized that it's not the things that make us anxious. We make ourselves anxious about the things outside of us, right? And we can start to understand that we have the power to actually decide how we're going to react to situations instead of the situations making us react. That's when we start to reclaim the power and actually get to the root of the problem. And so this was a high-level overview of what I did. I did a lot of introspective work and started to look internally at why I was feeling anxious. And I hope that you guys can do the same. If you're feeling socially anxious right now, I want to just say that I want to support you in this journey. If you guys have any questions about this, or you want more tips, you want more advice, please let me know in the comment section. Find me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I want to be able to help you in your own journey, because I just know how it feels. I know how it feels. I've been there, and I truly believe that this world needs more people to support social anxiety and build up awareness and build up actual solutions to helping people that do struggle with social anxiety. So if you guys want to hit a subscribe button on my channel, I'll come out with more videos about social anxiety. And if you have any questions or you need support in your own journey, please let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or leave a comment down here and I'll get back to you. But other than that, that was my story of social anxiety. And guys, it's a work in progress, right? I think that even at times when I don't go out and socialize, I think it's very normal for you to feel a little bit of anxiety. But what I want to invite you guys, and the point of this video is to share my journey, but also tell you guys that it's important to find the root of the problem, right? As long as we can find the root of the problem and we can put our focus there, then we're going to be saving a lot of time and energy trying to save ourselves from finding out the symptoms and then dealing with the symptoms. It's better, and it's going to be much quicker and more effective if you find the root of why you feel socially anxious. So I hope that helps, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.